The one and only Buddy Boeheim. Buddy, it's great chatting with you again. How are things?
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. And things are going well. Enjoying the off season so far and being home for a little, but excited to get back going and working out soon.
Buddy, I got a question for you. We were just doing a segment on the hardest things to do in sports, and it came up. How, like, you when you're at games, see the average fan come out and do those contests for shooting. How many three-pointers do you think an average Joe could hit, NBA range, nobody guarding them, out of 10?
Wow, okay. So NBA was a difference for me even once I got there, especially in games. So I'd say the average person would make probably 2 to 4.
Oh, really? That's higher than I would have thought.
I think 2, but if they have some experience in high school or whatnot, maybe a couple more, but I'd say most people 1 or 2.
All right. Last question on this particular topic on our conversation in the last segment. We were talking about pressure free throws, and it's come up in the NBA playoffs here the last couple of days in particular. We've seen some key missed free throws at one end that ends up deciding the game at the other end. We've seen a couple buzzer beaters. Again, can you put it into words for, the average fan, how difficult it is to step to the line with, let's say, 10 seconds left and you're up by 1 or you're down by 1? How tough is it for a professional player to step to the line and knock down free throws? Are you still thinking about it, or by the time you get to that? Okay, so explain it to us.
For sure. I think it's just in any game, really, yet alone the NBA playoffs, the atmosphere that these playoffs have brought. At that point of the game, too, I'm nervous in some of our G League games with 50 people there just because that the game comes down to you and you have to make the free throws, especially in the playoffs. If you lose a game missing free throws, it could affect the rest of the series in a way that, other shots or tough game-winning shots wouldn't. So free throws are, probably the toughest thing to do in basketball, especially at the end of the game.
You mentioned G League. You had a new opportunity this year. You were with the Oklahoma City Thunder organization, the Oklahoma City Blue in the G League. Tell us about your year. I saw we're watching you every step of the way. You had some monster games this year. Can you speak to how the season went and how you're liking the new franchise?
Yeah, I appreciate that, and it was a great year. Oklahoma City, the organization, is really one of one. Being there was really just an incredible experience, from training camp, being around the Thunder guys, to being in the G League, top to bottom. They do a great job, and it was a great year. Really started off well, and then end of December actually broke my thumb and kind of played through it for the next 2 months, and eventually end of February, I decided to shut it down and had to get surgery. So that was definitely an obstacle, but overall it was still a really good year, I thought, and I'm really excited to be back there next year and be with them.
What do you think about the parent club? Obviously Oklahoma City having a great year, and the odds-on favorites to make it out of the West. You've played against a lot of those guys, obviously, and got to see them up close and personal. What makes this team so good?
Yeah, they're just so unselfish. They're so young, and they have 10 or 12 really, really good basketball players that will probably start on 50 to 60% of NBA teams. So to have that, and you bring in experience with Caruso, you bring in a big guy like Hartenstein. Shea is, I think, him and Jokic are the 2 best players in the NBA. So just an extremely good team, and a top 3 NBA coach in Dagnall. So, Presti's done an incredible job there, and it was really fun competing with them in the summer. And you see it even in those pickup runs. Chet Holmgren, he's there every day. He wants to play. He wants to work out. And those guys just love playing and competing. So you see it on the court, and it was a lot of fun being around them in training camp.
The fact they're so good, it obviously makes it a tough roster to crack. As you look at your future there and your future in the league, what kind of feedback are you getting from the powers that be in the front office about what you kind of need to do, or the things you need to work on to be able to crack that roster?
Yeah, I think it's more so just continuing to be able to get in the lane, be able to get to the rim, and use my shooting ability to do so, but more so that getting a little quicker, obviously getting to that athleticism in the NBA is different, but I think shooting the ball, I've shown that, I have an NBA talent in that, but it's more so just doing other things. But like you said, it probably wouldn't be with the Thunder. They're so deep, they're so good. So just, being in with the G League, having a chance to grow, I thought I really took a step this year in my development, and another year of that, and who knows, where I could end up being by the end of the year. But just really happy to be there and grow and develop, and their feedback's been great.
And by not being on an NBA roster, you get the opportunity to have some fun this summer and play in the TBT with a couple of at this point a couple of friends, and hopefully we'll see more and more Cuse guys added to this roster. What went into your decision to suit up this summer for Boeheim's Army?
Yeah, just being there every summer since I was pretty much a sophomore in college at OCC, going to the games. There's nothing better. You have 4,000 Syracuse fans, and it feels like a Syracuse basketball game. So there's no experience like that. There's nothing better than that. I miss it every day. So to be able to do that again and play with Jimmy, play with Elijah, and hopefully get some more Cuse guys in the next couple weeks. Obviously Chris is in, so I think it's one of one opportunity to be able to do that in Syracuse. So it was a no-brainer for me, knowing that I had the flexibility this offseason to do so.
You mentioned Jimmy right there. Is that official? Is he playing? Is he going to suit up this summer too?
Yeah, I think that's pretty much a done deal. I don't know I'm pretty sure he'd be fine with me saying it.
Spoiler alert! we're breaking some news today.
Yeah, I told him if I'm gonna we have to do it together. So
awesome.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's locked in on it. He gets home next week actually from Germany, so sure we'll start working out together for it, and we'll have something to look forward to playing together in this summer.
And Dad's going to be a part of it as well. We found out today that he's been named head coach emeritus and will be at practices and help with the roster construction and game planning and so on and so forth. I know it's old hat for you. I mean, you've been coached by him your entire life, but to be able to do it again this summer, post college, I would imagine that's got to be pretty special for you and Jimmy.
Oh, it's amazing just to have him there. The emeritus position. He wasn't really sure what that meant, but he just wants to be around. He wants to go to practice and put some sets in, watch the guys, talk to them, and just to have him around obviously is an extreme honor. So it's nothing better than having him at practice in the Mello Center at the games, and the fans obviously love it, and there's no one better to have there. So we're looking forward to it, and it's just another great experience we get to enjoy together as a family, and people that have grown up in Syracuse our whole lives. So it's really exciting.
When he stepped down and quote unquote retired from coaching, you would think that he's going to have all this time on his hands, but it seems like he's awfully busy, right? He's calling games, and I'm sure he's going out to watch you play and so on and so forth. How is he enjoying retirement, and how busy is he these days?
Yeah, he's about as busy as you'd expect someone that's been in basketball their whole life. He can't get away from it. I've been home for a couple weeks now, and I'm just hanging around and rest and recovering still. But he's going to the office. He's seeing what's going on with recruiting. He's watching games. He's watching all my brother's games, watching my games. So he's as active as he's probably ever been, and has had more time to go out to Germany and watch Jimmy. He's watched a couple of my games in person, and then he'll watch every game on his iPad, on the TV, whatever it is. So he's as involved in basketball as ever, just not solely Syracuse basketball. So it's fun to watch him go commentate games and do all these other things. He's loving it.
How much do you keep tabs on Syracuse and what Coach Autry is up to? And I guess what are your thoughts on this roster that they've put together going into next season?
Oh yeah, I watch every game I can, and being there in the summer is great because I get to be there and work out with the guys and interact with them. So I'm as in Syracuse as I've ever been, and I'm really excited for this roster upcoming. I think the freshmen, and then you bring in some transfers, Nate George, and a lot of good pieces. William Kyle, I think, will be really good, and obviously JJ and Donnie coming back. So I'm super excited. I can't wait to get up there and see those guys, work out with them, and I think they've done as good of a job turning around this roster going into next year as possible.
Buddy, what do you think of the NIL, of how it's exploded since, when you started, it was just minor work here and there, and now there's rosters worth $10 million.
Yeah, I was doing beacon skiff commercials and other things for my NIL, and I feel like now you commit and you get, however much money they offer you, and it's a done deal. But I love my NIL. I love the branding part of it, but it's definitely a different world. I had a teammate this year who did 6 years in college, Cormac Ryan, and we were talking like, yeah, we would have done 7 years in this climate with the money you get, and just being in college, it's nothing better than that. So it's a crazy thing, but yeah, it's a lot of guys I play with pro were jealous of the new NIL, and just the numbers being thrown around is it's pretty absurd.
Well, I for one am glad that you did the Beacon Skiff commercials, because those were TV gold. So I'm glad they did put you to work to earn some of that money. Good stuff. All right, buddy. Well, listen, it's been a pleasure catching up with you as always. Continued success as you get back from this injury and you get back to playing again. And we'll have to have you on again over the summer as the TBT approaches. Okay.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys. Great talking to you.
All right, great talking to you as well, Buddy Boeheim, joining us here on the program. And with that, we'll open up the phone lines, 315-437-7644. We've got today's business next.
Like, I was dealt with, like, the Buddy and the Joe Girard NIL stuff, and compared to what those guys were getting now, like, holy cow.
It's changed a lot in a short period of time.
Yeah, because I know I handle some of I know what JJ's getting and what Buddy gets. There's a big difference.
A little bit of a difference, yeah. Okay, we'll take a time out here. Today's business coming up next on ESPN Radio.